One thing that can make a huge difference in the way you ride and your technique is where your controls are set up. Although it's easy to get on a bike that's set up for somebody else, it's amazing the difference it makes if it's set up for you. I'm going to show you how I set up the controls on my bike, from the bars and levers to the shifter and brake. Now we're all built different. Some of us are taller, shorter, have different riding styles, but I'm going to show you what works for me and why I do it how I do. I'm also going to show you some different options along the way. One of the things you most often hear about with triple clamps is the offset, usually either 22 or 24 millimeters. A 22 millimeter offset means the front wheel is actually closer to the bike, which makes it turn sharper and react quicker. A 24 millimeter offset means it's further away from the bike, reacts slower, and actually handles better in rougher, faster sections of the track. Although it doesn't matter which clamps you run, it does matter if they're greased up. A lot of times whenever you get a new bike, a lot of these bearings won't even be greased at all or very little. So you always want to take apart even a brand new bike and check it out. Sometimes it helps to start spinning this thing in reverse so it doesn't cross thread at all. These are fine threads on these things. Same with this one. It's got fine threads on it, so sometimes it helps to turn it left for a second and then start it to tighten. Oh, like butter. Before you tighten your clamps up, you'll want to make sure your forks are in place and all the rest of your stuff is where it needs to be. You'll want to tighten your steering stem at the very end. It'll help if you twist them whenever you get them started, just to make sure they go up in there good. You want to pay attention how high your forks are in your triple clamps. The higher up they are, the lower your front end of your bike will sit. That means your bike will dive more and turn sharper. If your forks are down lower in the triple clamps, they're going to be less likely to knife and to turn sharp, but better on a faster, more wide open style track. Where you run your forks will also make a big difference on how your suspension's set up. Running your forks up high will make your front end feel soft because you're going to have more weight over the front than you usually do. While if you run them down flush with the triple clamps, they might feel a little bit stiffer than normal. Another thing I pay attention to when I put my forks in is where this bleed screw is at. I don't want it to be back here where there's no room to get to it when the handlebars are on, so I put it towards the front so there's plenty of room. I'm just going to snug these bottom bolts up to hold my forks on, but here in a little bit we'll torque them down. Make sure that adjusting the height of your forks is the very last thing you do. Stick around and you'll see why. A lot of times, taller riders will want their bars further forward to allow some extra room, while shorter riders have a hard time reaching up that far, so they like to keep them back. Even though I'm tall and ride over the front of the bike more than I probably should, I try to keep my bars somewhere in the middle. There's a lot of different options when you're shopping the website for a set of handlebars and figuring out which one's right for you. First off, there's a 7/8 inch bar and a 1 1/8 inch bar. The 7/8 comes stock on a lot of the older bikes and a 1 1/8 on the newer bikes. If you have a 7/8 inch bar but you want to go with a stronger 1 1/8 inch bar, there is an oversized bar mount kit, or there's also different triple clamps and mounts. A lot like positioning the clamps, taller bars tend to do the same thing. Just allow taller riders more room to get around. And then you got to decide whether you want a crossbar or no crossbar. And while they're both 1.1 inch thick and they're both really strong handlebars, this bar has a crossbar for the strength. That's the reason this is added. But without the crossbar will give you a little less rigidity and a little more give whenever you're riding. This ODI bar has CFT, which is Controlled Flex Technology, and it's designed to still have the strength of a crossbar, but the feeling of a fat bar. I wanted to try something a little different this time and went with the McGrath 999 Renthal Twin Wall bar. I never tried a set of these before, but if nothing else, maybe they'll help my knack-knacks. Grips are one thing that it's very easy to be picky about, and I know a lot of us are. These ODI lock-on grips are very durable, yet they're still sticky and soft enough to get a good grip on. Then you got the classic glue-on Renthal grips. You can't lose with these. At MotoSport, you can find every compound, style, and brand of grip, from no waffle to full waffle, soft to firm, and there are even some that have different colors to choose from. Hop on our website and grab a set for yourself. On this bike, I'm going to go with the soft compound half waffle Renthal lock-ons. I've always liked the feel of these grips, so I'm excited they now come in the lock-on style. Try to keep the kill switch and all the buttons that these new bikes have away from the grip as much as possible. Having them too close will give something hard behind the grip for your thumb to rub on and cause more blisters than you want. Before I tighten them all the way, I like to make sure my bars aren't rolled too far forward or too far back. And it's kind of hard to tell from the top,
So I usually come to the side and I'll make sure they're in straight line with the forks. It's time to give these new Rinthal lock-ons a try. I've always liked to run my half waffle grips, roll a little bit further forward. That way I know if I can't feel any waffle with my fingertips, I'm getting lazy and my elbows are going down. Can't be having that. One really cool thing about these grips is you get a new throttle tube every time. I've always tried to make sure that there's no slack in my throttle. If I do, I feel like I'm just kind of holding on to nothing and it makes me hold on tighter than I should. I feel like that gives me arm pump. When it comes to levers, we got you covered. If you're looking for folding levers, we've got Turner, ASV, and more. And if you're looking for more of a stock setup, we've got a full list of OEM parts. The brake and clutch lever I've chosen for this bike are the ARC composite levers. And man, I wish I'd have had these a long time ago, especially because they even come with a lifetime warranty. Not only do they fold backwards, but they also bend and don't break. It's really cool that ARC offers these levers in both normal and short sizes. And I love how they got the grippy texture for your fingers on the front. Grab a set for your bike today at MotoSport.com. I always try to run my clutch and brake as far in as possible. That way I'm grabbing more on the outside of the lever so I have more feel and it's easier to pull. Added bonus, with your lever so much further in, you're way less likely to break them when you go down. Growing up, my dad would wrap Teflon tape around my bars underneath my levers to keep them from breaking when I crashed. Thanks to these rotating bar clamps from Works Connection, Teflon tape is a thing of the past. After that, zip tie up some of these loose cables here. Make sure they're nice and snug to the bars. Throw on your bar pad. You're ready to rip. Remember when I said before not to tighten your pinch bolts here before you got this all done? This is why. If you tighten your steering stem nut before your pinch bolts, your top clamp won't be able to tighten down all the way. You'll want to put your handlebars on first so you know how tight to make your steering stem. After you get your bars and your steering stem tightened where you need, then it's time to get your fork height set and your pinch bolts torqued. How tight you make your steering is all up to you. But personally, I like my steering not to go freely to the stop when I push my handlebars over to the side. If your steering stem is loose, you're more likely to get head shake in the faster sections of the track. When it comes to the back brake, I always try to make sure my pedal is up above the foot peg, higher than level. That way whenever you push it down, the furthest down it gets is exactly level with the foot peg. If you go down further than that, your foot will drop, your knees will go forward, and your whole body will go into a position that you don't want. A lot of people worry about maybe accidentally hitting it if it's up that high, but if you're riding back here on the foot pegs on the balls of your feet like you're supposed to, you don't have to worry about that. Next time you're out working on your bike, check out where your brake's at. If you've never tried it up higher, give it a shot. As far as the shifter, you kind of just want to think along the same lines. You don't want your knee to get too far forward and you don't have to lean super far back. So I always try to keep my shifter completely level with my foot peg. Having your shifter too far up isn't quite as bad, but you really got to lean off the back and almost pull your foot completely off the peg to get a positive shift. We've got some awesome products like titanium foot pegs from Turner, as well as pro pegs like these. We also have shifters and brake pedals from companies like Hammerhead, Pro Circuit, Turner, and of course, OEM. I hope I was able to answer some of your questions on bars and controls. If not, hit us up in the comments or on Instagram at MotoSport Inc. and I'll do my best to help you out. Thanks for watching.